All right. We are back in Belmar. It's a beautiful day. We have a very special guest on today. We have Nicole Bonsteel from Stepping Stones Meditation and Healing. Oh, that's a lot to say. Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming in. You made a little bit of a trek. Tell everybody where you came from.
I'm actually in Cinnaminson, Burlington County.
Cinnaminson. Say that 5 times fast. But that is in Burlington County. It's a beautiful area.
Yes, it's right on the Delaware River,
Mhm.
and it's very close to Philadelphia, so there's lots to do. Nice
Excellent.
little suburb area.
It's a cool town, though.
It is cool.
As I told you off camera, I was there for lunch back in the spring, and besides getting poison ivy there, which was a different problem, I did like the town. It was a cute, charming town.
Really nice.
And you're
suburb.
right on the Delaware, so that's cool. So, what brings you here today? Tell us about your business.
So I started a Stepping Stones meditation a few years ago, and the reason why I wanted to start it is because I was my own first client. I use these techniques myself. It's a combination of meditation, mindfulness, reflection exercises, and positive mindset strategies. And I really use these tremendously after a very significant life change that I had, which was a divorce back in 2016.
Okay.
And the pandemic, of course.
Sure.
It was a lifeline for me to use these strategies. It really helped me sustain the mental mindset that I needed. I had 2 children at home that I was also caring for to help them through the pandemic. And
That was a tough time for everybody.
It was very difficult. We felt very isolated from our families, as many people did, and having these strategies really helped us create a foundation of communication, self-reliance, and just flexibility to really take it day by day.
On the mindset, are your children into that now too?
They are.
Positive mindset?
They are, and I think for them, the benefit is mostly because when they have a setback, they're able to communicate and discuss it and say how it impacts them, but it doesn't have to derail their whole day. They can rebound really quickly after they process through the emotion, and it really does. They can say, I can do this, I can get back up, I'm going to try again, and I think that I've seen tremendous growth in them as well.
That's great, because I think young people, as an adult, as a business owner, you get knocked down every single day. Like, there's not a day that you can have the best day at 10 o'clock in the morning, by 5 o'clock could be the worst day ever. So I know how to kind of react to this. I know how to think about it. I know how to that it's not going to be the end of the world. Everything's going to be okay. But as a young adult that hasn't gone through these things, it's hard.
Yes, and for them to kind of know that it's normal. It's normal for them to have these feelings and to have these thoughts. But everything starts with a thought. And then when you have a thought, it has a physical reaction on your body. So getting people to understand how your thoughts really affect you. It affects how your body feels. It affects what you do with your life, the choices that you make. And these strategies are really powerful to get you to be a place of where you are connected to your own core. You know your value, you know your worth, you know what you're contributing. And when you can get to that place, it really enables you to not rely solely on external validation. And
Makes you a stronger person inside.
Absolutely, and a happier person. Because
Sure.
if you're doing and you're connecting to what's really important to you and what makes you happy and brings you joy, it's not going to matter if somebody else says, well, why are you doing that? I don't like that.
Oh, there's a lot of naysayers out
Yes.
there. And misery loves company.
Absolutely.
So when you think about misery loves company, you can't kind of get into that, that negative energy.
You don't, and I used to be that person. I used to be.
You were the one?
I was negative. I was so negative.
I'm glad you turned it around.
The transformation that I've, made in my life, just who I was just 5 years ago compared to today, is just astronomical. I am
awesome.
so much happier. I really feel like.
So you really bought into this.
It changed me. It changed me on such a deep level that I was always the person who needed constant validation. Constant validation about everything. could I even do something? Did I have the skill set? Like, I was looking for other people to tell me that I could do things that I wanted to do. And I had always been like that, really. And
that's so great.
Coming out of that,
what a difference!
Yes,
your life must be so 180 degrees different.
I feel so much more in control.
Yeah.
And when we say control, sometimes that's turned into a negative thing, like someone's, trying to control
controlling.
you. But when you control yourself,
Yep.
that means that you can have the ability to control your emotional regulation, right? That's so important. That aids in emotional intelligence. It's going to make you a better business owner. It's going to make you a better employee, a better friend, a better spouse. Having those capabilities, it really does provide you with this source of just, you can see the good in every day.
Mm-hmm.
There's not always, everything's not always good, but you're able to see those glimmers. You're able to take gratitude and appreciation. I'm so grateful for being here today. Like, that's something that's bringing me joy.
You came in the door and you were happy. Like, I was happy to, hey, Tom, how are you? Like, that's great. I like that.
I really do feel like it's a transformation that enables you to be the best version of yourself.
I love it.
From that, you connect with people on a different level, on a higher level. You're connecting in a way of like where the energy just kind of like makes you kind of like, oh, this feels great. This is like fun.
Yep.
This is going to be a great experience.
Now, what do some of your clients say about this?
So my clients, I have primarily work with a lot of women and children. I've done work in the school districts, and I've also trained teachers to have some of these skill sets. And for the children, it is really of something where the counselors will come to me and they will say, I'm seeing a significant improvement in their behavior is one of the things, because when you give someone the permission to have an emotion, to have a feeling, it really gives them ownership to know that there's nothing wrong with them, that they can have this and they can process through it in a healthy way, and then they can go on with their day. So it gives them that autonomy to be themselves. And students and teachers have been telling me that it helps them with getting the kids back on track for concentration. If they're distracted, hey, let's just take a pause. Let's bring us back to this, do like a mindful minute. And for the women, I really feel like sometimes you can get to a position in your life where you go through a significant life change. And it happens for everyone, not just women. But primarily where you
guys go buy a car.
True. But for my own situation, and I'll use myself as an example, sometimes I woke up and I didn't know who I was. After my divorce, I had wanted to be a wife and a mother for such a long time. And when, that was kind of changed through the divorce, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what made me happy. I didn't know what I liked about myself, which was a huge problem because I was constantly expecting other people to tell me what was good about myself. This is a terrible place to live from. So women really are working to empower them, and all of my courses and classes are based on the mantra of you inform, you inspire, and then you involve. So having these people learn these techniques, they get excited about it, and then they get motivated to do the work. And the benefit is it starts with you. It starts with changing you, and then it's a ripple effect out to everything around you. It provides you with confidence to know your own abilities, and if you're confident in your abilities, you're more likely to actually take action on them. And that's a wonderful thing, is you want people to be living from their joy. You're going to have a different vibration and experience with people that are living from their joy. That's
great. That's awesome. So now you do online courses.
I do.
And how do you like those?
Well, I think that for me, the part of the entrepreneurial experience that has been the most comical, exciting, huge learning curve, also at times very frustrating, has been learning to move from in-person to online, because it's like a big iceberg. Like, my content is the tip of the iceberg, and I'm so excited. That's what I'm going to put together. But in order to get that out to people, there's this whole underbody that no one talks about, like social media marketing, marketing in general, learning how to set up a website, learning how to put a course together, how to record yourself. It took me...
That's a lot.
It's so much. It took me like a week to figure out how to do a writable PDF. Like stuff like that where... It takes the time. It takes the every day of having time set aside to do action and activity. And when you have a setback, I just try and keep the humor about it. I'm constantly laughing about things.
Sure.
Like, okay, this was fun. I'll never have to.
You'll never forget how to do it again.
That's exactly right. I'm always learning.
And there's someone else that's going to need that help at some point that you can pay it forward with. Because a lot of these things, when you start a business, no one tells you all the little things.
No, it's like this hidden, everyone's like, oh, it's just start a business, it's so easy. Like, I don't know if they need to better understand all the components, and that's part of the service that you provide through this podcast is all the different things that we have to do.
So much stuff. What's funny is when you watch a TikTok or you watch an Instagram video and they're like, oh, it's so easy. You just set up an LLC and blah, blah, blah. And you set up the bank account and you're done. And, they don't really tell you all the factors that go into all that. And then once you do that, well, you have no customers. And you don't have a website. You don't have social. You don't have this. And you never thought you needed to buy equipment to do videos. And, there's always something else. And then you get through that. In my world, you get through all those kind of beginning obstacles. Then you got to get customers. Then you get customers who are happy. They want more services. So now you got to start adding people to the payroll.
Yeah, you got to scale.
And you got to, it just continues. And I find also, I think about every 3 to 6 months, my job changes. So
yes,
my job was to start helping a team build websites. We started building websites and we built a lot of them. So then we put someone in place to run the web operations, and then we started doing social. Now I'm getting social up and running, building a team, and then you go to the next thing. So you're always moving your job, and your job always changes as the goal line changes, I feel. Once as you hit a next accomplishment and you hit that next goal, now you keep moving forward. And I think that's the beauty of it, though. That's the grit behind it. Is once you learn it, you laugh, you keep moving. And if you ever try to think of it and equate it at the beginning, what was I getting paid per hour? Don't do that, because you're only going to make yourself miserable in thinking about that. But as you start to scale, you start to see improvements. You start, the beautiful thing with your content being online is it can be reused. It could be, it might need some changes, it might need some modifications, but overall the content's there. So you have a replicatable model where you can
absolutely
sell it 100 times over. It's not like you're coming in and you're doing something for a client, and once it's done, you have to go find the next client. There's differences there. You've learned how to do the skill set and you keep moving. But in yours, you're taking content and you can reuse it for whatever the audience, and you could change it for the children, and you could change it for the young adults, or for the housewife that's trying to figure out their next move, or just women in general, or even there's a segment of men that want to have that mindset too. So you have great content that you could reuse over and over again.
It's really exciting because I do love to learn, and I have learned so much. And it is like you said, don't do these evaluations of the nitty gritty, but it does remind me of those medical commercials where it's take this product, it might, and then the scrolling things for a business owner may cause, overwhelm and insomnia and,
you're gonna have
repetitive decisions about what color to use. It's so many decisions that you have to make, and that's why I really do feel like if you are aligning your work with what the service that you want to provide from a place of a true passion, you have a reserve of fuel to keep you going, because it's just endless. You're coming from a place of joy. I'm really excited to share these techniques with people, and I'm going to be launching my course at the end of the month. It's for pre-sale right now, and I'm just really excited.
That's great. That's so cool. And I think you have that entrepreneurial passion, because one bad day or one bad month or whatever, 6 months can't take you down. I know there's times where you're like, all right, well, you're gonna have setbacks. Not
Yes.
everything's gonna be. You could plan everything on a piece of paper, and you could make a budget and a forecast and all this other stuff, and then something's gonna throw a curveball in there, and then there's other times where you're gonna go on a high and you're gonna go on a run. So you gotta be able to.
Yes, flexibility and pivot. It's
Pivot.
like, just
Yep.
always pivoting like that. I'm just thinking of the Friends thing with the couch. When you get stuck, you have to take a breath. Pivot, and just kind of like, maybe just sit and put your feet on the ground and close your eyes and kind of really just think, like, what is my objective? Always, have a vision of what your outcome's going to be, what you want that to be. And then you don't have to know all the thousands of steps in between, because you just have to keep going. You have to take a step at a time, a day at a time, a course at a time, get the feedback and always fine tune. And I think that having the work that way, you're actually incorporating the community in with you, and you're guiding and you're growing together. It's not it's not just you. It might feel like it's just you. Like I definitely feel like I do 90% of what needs to be done for my business, but it won't be that way all the time. And it's an opportunity for me to kind of, what is my vision and what do I want to put out in the world, because I know how wonderful these techniques are, and they're just life-changing. They're just amazing. I'm really happy to.
So you
share
really
them.
should never get down, because you have all these mindset techniques. So you're more empowered than most entrepreneurs.
Oh, well, thank you. I feel like I have something to learn from all entrepreneurs, and the one thing that I love about being an entrepreneur is that it gives you the ability to really see the strengths of different people and collaborate and understand lessons learned, and I think we're all so generous with each other. Don't spend 2 hours on this, just go get this and use this, because this is what I found after 20 hours of realizing that I didn't need to do it that way. We're helping each other with these shortcuts,
and everybody's gone through something where they're like, oh,
Yes.
this is a time killer, but on the other side is you pay it forward and you say, look, don't do
Yes.
this. And give me some of the grit of starting a business, being that's 2 years old. You've had some.
I think for me, it's mostly just kind of maintaining this vision when a lot of people close to me don't understand it. Because I'm in an engineering field during the day. So for me, it's very logical, which I am very logical, but a lot of people that are close to me don't really use these techniques themselves. So they're just kind of like, well, I don't understand, right? So having that mindset of, again, like I talked about earlier, that being so solid in my own core of knowing that this brings me joy and this brings me happiness, that I don't need the validation of people around me. And, I get support, but I might not get understanding. And that has never stopped me. It used to stop me 5 years ago. It would stop me dead in my tracks. I just wouldn't even do it.
I think sometimes it's hard for a non-entrepreneur to understand an entrepreneur.
Yes.
I look at it and I say sometimes your friends don't really understand. But if you watch this program, my mom and I were texting last night, and she said something about just the hustle of it all, and she knows that I'm very busy. So I said something, and I said I just want to can see continued success from my companies, and she said but I said, then she said, you will, blah blah blah, and then she said something, and she said, you're cut differently. And I said, well, if you watch all the entrepreneurs though on the podcast, they're all very similar to me, versus like me being so different from my mom, who's a school teacher.
Yes.
So she's come from an education background. You work 9 to 3, and you do your papers at night, but you're off all summer. Whereas my life starts at 6 in the morning and goes till I fall asleep. And in my world, that's normal. And then most of the entrepreneurs that come on this podcast live this very similar world.
Yes.
But it was interesting because before I had Grit Won't Quit, I never thought as much now that I hear these stories coming out, like it's like, oh wow, this guy does think like me. We had a guy on the other day. He was like, I was selling since a lemonade stand since I was a little kid, and I just thought about, I did all those things as a kid too. Like, so it's interesting to hear more and more people on Grip that tell you these similar stories. So it validates that all entrepreneurs are crazy.
And I think when you really love something, it doesn't feel like work.
No.
It really doesn't, and it's. There's so many techniques that we can do that help us focus on the sense that you work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
And those are some of the mind tricks that I use too, is that, like I center myself and ground myself before I sit down. I get a vision of what I want to accomplish. Make lists. I make sure that I have a focus. I don't always stick to it. I'm not perfect. I get off on tangents.
Everybody does.
And, the branding color thing, that was like forever, but I'm so happy with what I ended up with. But things like that, I don't let the time frame deter me, because if I was to say, be honest, I was supposed to have this course out a year ago. I'm no lie. Like, I was like telling people, I'm going to have it out, it's going to be released, and then I'm like, wait a minute, this is a lot of work, because it's not just about creating the content, it's about figuring out what platform to use. How, I had to go out and get a microphone. I had to get software for my computer. And so, having all those things, like you said about that, you just keep growing and you're evolving. And I think that there's two types of way to evolve. One is through pain and one is through love. And when you're an entrepreneur and you really love what you're doing, you are evolving to be a better version of yourself all the time.
Absolutely. And
you're just really like a magnet of just joy for other people. Like, they'll get invigorated by you and get encouraged and ready to go. And it's wonderful that you can share all these techniques with people.
I released a podcast earlier this week, Dean Langella, if you haven't listened, from QSR. And I said, I don't work because I have this burning desire to work. I work because I want to see it better. I want to see the process keep improving for my clients, for my team, for me, for the company. Like, all that is about, it's not trying to be a nitpicker. It's not trying to be a pain in the butt. It's just to look at the process and see how can we have done it better the next time we do it, so that we just become a better organization.
And another thing that, from you saying that, just brought to my mind is that they say that people that have something creative in their life are happier. They're also more grounded, and they also have more energy. And the reason for that is, if you have something that is creative, it's such a wonderful outlet for the energy that we store in our body. And that could be making something, singing, dancing, art, poetry, whatever. So you're doing something that's creative, you're actually having that energy flow through you in a very positive way. And I like to think that what we do as entrepreneurs is a creative outlet, because we're making something.
Definitely.
And it just, again, it's that cycle of, it's not going to end, because it's unlimited. We have unlimited joy and power fueling us, and it's just, it's really great. It's a lot of fun.
So
Gotta keep sense of humor.
So the course is coming out when now?
So it's going to be launched September 30th. It's called
Awesome.
Learn Your Worth, and it's based on 4 core pillars, and has a baseline assessment to help you determine where your level of worth is currently. And then we'll talk about evaluating limiting beliefs, cultivating self-compassion, accepting yourself, and developing healthy boundaries.
Wow, that sounds like a great course.
Yeah, and it's been a labor of love, and I'm really excited to share it with everyone.
And the pre-sales are going on now? And where could they find the pre-sales?
So it's available through my website, which is steppingstones-mh.com.
All right. So this is great. This was a great conversation today. I'm
thank
glad
you.
that you came in. I hope that it's an easy ride back to Cinnaminson. And let people know, I mean, you just said your website for the pre-sales. Let people know again where they can find you, so that if they're interested in learning more and getting the class, they could do that.
Absolutely. So it's Stepping Stones Meditation and Healing. I'm on social media as well, and you can find those links through my website, which is www.steppingstones-mh.com.
Well, I appreciate you coming on today, and
Thank you,
I
Tom.
wish you nothing but the best, and I think the course is going to be awesome.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day, guys.